What does it mean to be unique? What kind of an improviser are you? I'm sure you can think of players that fit in different categories. In my opinion, there are three kinds of players. One is the vertical player, and one is the horizontal player, and the other one is a vertical-horizontal combination. Alright guys, welcome back to another video for my YouTube channel. This is probably one of the most important videos I've made in a while. What kind of an improviser are you? This is an important question to answer to understand what kind of unique ability as an improviser do you bring to the table. Now I want to get a little bit in depth by exploring different harmonic ideas. There's a vertical form of harmony, which basically means that you are improvising on every chord, or you're improvising horizontally, which is very key center based. And then there's the intravertical aspect of it, where you're imposing new changes, new chords on existing changes. And in my opinion, all three of these are amazing improvisers. Now there are ways to expand into all three of these categories. So let's get into this a little bit deeper. Now horizontal improvisation conceptually is basically the idea of playing in one key. If I'm in the key of C major, and if I take a few chords from the key of C major, let's say 1, 6, 2, 5. Very common jazz progression, right? As an improviser, I can play through these chord changes in many different ways, but I'm going to play through these chord changes in a horizontal fashion. And what I mean is, even though the chord progression is 1, C major 7, 6, A minor 7, 2, D minor 7, and 5, G7, it's all in the key of C, right? Major pentatonic. We can establish by this that horizontal form of playing is basically playing in the key of the moment, right? So if I'm in the key of C major, I'm playing in the key of C major. I'm completely not considering the chords that are in the moment. A blues improviser a lot of times only plays in the key of the moment. A lot of great blues players also try and highlight the chord changes, but if you just play the key of the blues that you're playing in, you will sound fine. For example, blues in A. Now I'll just play A minor pentatonic throughout everything and it sounds totally fine. It sounds very bluesy actually. Check it out. Same scale on the 4 chord. Same scale on the 5 chord. Turn around. Horizontal form of playing actually lets you be melodic, because melodicism exists on a broader plane where you actually get to be musical inside a key, make motifs, make longer phrases, give lyrical sounding ideas, because when you play in a horizontal format, it actually gives you the ability to make longer phrases that are melodic. Now the vertical universe is very interesting because it has too many possibilities. The idea here is that each chord is its own vertical universe. So if you have a chord progression like 1, 6, 2, and 5, you can basically choose to improvise on all of those chords as different vertical identities. What that basically means, without getting too jazzy and crazy here, is that you can arpeggiate all those chords, you can play different scales to highlight a different sound on those chords. For example, on a C major 7, you can play Lydian. A minor 7, you can play A melodic minor. D minor 7, you can play D melodic minor. On G7, you can play G altered. That will give you a very strong and sophisticated harmonically complex sound on a 1, 6, 2, 5. Let's say I start taking my G7 chord and making it altered. So nothing on the 1, 6, and 2. Altered. Kind of cool, right? Now let's talk a little bit further about vertical playing. What John Coltrane did was he took the idea of playing vertically to another level. He would improvise on new changes on top of the existing changes. That will give you a very powerful sound. For example, if you're playing 1-6-2-5 in the key of C major, you can improvise in the key of E major, which is a major third above from the actual key, momentarily, and come back into the key of C major, improvising a completely different key on top of an existing key. This gives you a huge amount of dissonance, which kind of sounds cool in certain contexts. However, you have to be tasteful when you play something like that. Now, when you see all three of these worlds colliding together, I'm sure you can think of players that fit in different categories. For example, if you take someone like John Coltrane, he kind of fits in all of these categories. He's an amazing horizontal player, as well as a vertical player, as well as an intravertical player. As a matter of fact, he has all these different concepts of how you can go and play outside of the changes to create a more dissonant sound. Now, you also have other players like Miles Davis that are also amazing vertical and horizontal players, but Miles is especially known for his melodicism, which is very much a horizontal form of playing. Let's get a little more deeper into this on a jazz standard. Now, the song All the Things You Are actually modulates to many different keys. However, let's just talk about the first section about All the Things You Are. Now, as an improviser, you can just play in the key of A flat and get through the changes. No problem. Check it out. Now let me play on each chord. Let me go further. Now, as you heard me improvise, there were two levels of improvisation here. The first level was me just playing in the key of A flat, which is very melodic, very beautiful, right? It is very straightforward. It is very easy to the ear. And then the other one is vertical, which is basically playing each and every chord. When the F minor showed up, I played melodic minor. When the B flat minor showed up, I played melodic minor. When the E flat 7 chord showed up, I played altered. So I played all these different scales that give you a very sophisticated sound on the chord. However, if I continue to do that for very long, I can promise that your ears will get very tired. So I believe as an improviser, it is important to have a good idea on all of these different worlds of vertical, horizontal, and intravertical, horizontal land of improvisation. It is important for you to understand it all. As a blues player, it's important to understand phrasing as a horizontal player. As a jazz player, it's important to understand vertical playing, which is the ideology of understanding how to improvise on chord changes. So each chord is its own sonority, its own identity, and how to play all these different chords and scales to give different sounds on all of these vertical structures inside a specific song. And then there's the intravertical aspect of how to impose different chord changes on a pre-existing chord progression. You can apply this concept on any song. So if next time someone asks you, play something melodically, play horizontally. If someone asks you, play something really cool and jazzy, play vertically. Not only that, start listening to musicians and try and understand which category do they fit in. Or if they fit in all of them, how much do they fit in all of these categories? If they fit into all of them. Try and answer these questions, because this will help you develop your own sound. And this is also a great idea to look at your own playing and try and understand where do you fit in. This will help you identify your unique sound, what kind of a player you are as an improviser. So I'm going to leave you again with this question. What kind of an improviser are you? Thank you guys for watching this video. I want to make sure that I'm able to make jazz accessible to everyone, no matter where you come from, no matter what your education is. I want to do my best to not gatekeep this art form. In order for me to do that, I need you to subscribe, or comment on these videos so I can keep this going. And check out all my other lessons. See you on the next one.